Democrats are trying desperately to chart their path forward and take on Donald Trump. But they keep getting steamrolled by the specter of the last president. Newly released audio from an interview between former President Biden and special counsel Robert Hur is again putting Biden's diminished mental capacity as a president on display. At the time, Hur was investigating Biden for retaining classified documents during his time as vice president. Here's the moment from the 2023 interview where Biden seemed to struggle to remember when his son Beau died.
When Beau died, I got amazed. 2015 he died. I think it's 2015.
A spokesperson for Biden responded saying, quote, "The transcripts were released by the Biden administration more than a year ago. The audio does nothing but confirm what is already public." Robert Hur declined to comment. Joining us now is Amanda Seales. She's host of Views from Amanda Land on YouTube and the author of the forthcoming book, Body Waving Through the BS, a midlife memoir. Yeah. Also with us, columnist and editor for MSNBC Daily, Hayes Brown. Hayes, yes. Your reaction to hearing this audio. Obviously, we had read the transcripts, but what was it like for you, I guess, to take a listen?
I mean, honestly, it wasn't that shocking to me. Like, it feels like a big deal is being made out of the audio. It's true that we've had the transcripts. It is disturbing to hear him fumbling around for when that date was, but honestly, a little relatable, because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like in the last couple of years, it's been hard to remember what order things have gone in. We've lived through a set of lifetimes in the last decade, it feels like. So, yes, the death of his son is a major milestone moment for him. And it is troubling to hear the President of the United States, who we expect to be like the quickest person in the room at all times because he's the person we're depending on. It's hard to hear him stumble around like that. But at the same time, I have sympathy. I'm more upset about the fact that the White House was trying to deny that happened at all when the interview first occurred.
Amanda, you seem to be having a slight disagreement with that assessment, just based on the reaction, but give it to us.
Because I'm just always like, he's been an old man the whole time. He was old when he got there. Remember when he would jog with Obama? It was like, look, I'm not that. But, he has had a questionable capacity from day one. And I think ultimately this is just more fodder to undermine any attempts at really challenging somebody who is also an old man with a compromised brain.
So are you saying that this story at this point with the release of the audio doesn't matter because we've known that he's an old man? Yes. Or it doesn't matter?
What are we going to do about it? What is it? It's always the story is after the fact.
Well, at least made the case about this earlier. Go ahead.
I've spoken to a lot of voters who just don't trust the Democratic Party after what happened. Exactly. So how, if there is still an effort to deny, as Biden has been endeavoring to do, going on The View, and he didn't do it very well, and Dr. Jill Biden had to intervene and clean it up again. And so
like Reagan and his wife.
So everyone is reminded of what happened and what went down, these continued denials within the book. How do Democrats regain the trust of voters?
I mean, I think that the push that we're trying to see, that there's going to be like no trust until they come out and say, you know what, we really messed this up. But I agree that what's that going to do us now? I think the question should be more about what will Democrats offer moving forward. Like, yes, we made this mistake. What are you going to do differently? Who is going to be the person that we raise up and elevate next, now that we've had this moment where we're like, you know what, we had loyalty. We had this moment where, like, he's going to stay in. We're going to do our best with what we got. So it has to be more forward-looking than just, we need them to admit that they backed Biden at the wrong time before we can move forward.
Does that imply that the Democratic Party will be more interested in younger blood? To your point, he was old.
Are they
covered up
young,
for it.
honest people? Because the Democratic Party nor the politics has never been about honesty. And for what it's worth, us as a constituency, we do not make enough demands for honesty. We actually excuse it on a regular basis under the auspices of it's politics. And as long as we continue to perpetuate, well, they have to do this because it's politics, we're not even setting a standard that makes an expectation for honesty.
Isn't this accountability? When you have something like this, and
you knew it was a lie in the beginning.
No, I'm saying some
and
people,
now you admit that it's
some people don't know that it was a lie.
I mean, the people who are lying, the people who are telling the
So what
truth
I'm saying
now.
to you, because we're talking about whether the merits of this story and kind of revisiting this is important. So what I'm saying is it is important because there were people who were saying Joe Biden is old. We were lied to. And now we're saying to you, you can clearly hear he was old. We knew you were lying to us. And here's more evidence that he was lying to us.
Yes, but they
So
were
that's what
lying
the
to us the
accountability-
whole time, all the time. And they've always been lying all the time. They literally were saying the whole time we're working towards a ceasefire in Gaza. And then they were like, actually, JK, we weren't. So, like, this is just...
We're so upset.
This is a constant. So ultimately, all I'm saying is that I feel like this isn't the first story of this. That's really what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
got it.
Questions, or there's sort of two questions I think people are struggling with right now with this story, which is, okay, if we acknowledge this, where is the accountability? Is it former President Biden himself? Is it his staff? Are they the people who colluded in the way that you're describing? And then I think the other question, too, and I hear this a lot from Democrats right now, is, okay, well, it's kind of becoming the ghost that's haunting all the Democrats. And is that the fault of the media? Because now you're talking about it. There's this book that's making a big deal out about it. Or is it the fault of the Democrats themselves for having tried to run away from this thing for so long? Hayes, what do you think? Like, where's the accountability here? Where does the responsibility lie?
I mean, I think it is a fact that the reason we're talking about this, and I don't know entirely the provenance of how Axios got their hands on the audio, but the fact that we're talking about this at all right now is because a book came out that described what was going on inside the Biden White House. And the cover-up. And the cover-up, to that point. But I think that where the accountability lies, I think that, yes, it is with Biden's staff, and I think that any campaign moving forward that works with them...
That's why this part of this is important.
I think so. I think it depends. But the people who can hold them accountable are not us. It's going to be the people who are running for office who would normally be hiring these same people to help them out as staffers on the campaign or in their office.
I think it's significant also that the circle of former Biden people who are still defending Biden publicly has shrunk a lot.
Yeah.
And that if you look at some of the reporting, including from the book that has been out there, it suggests, it quotes people as being quite critical of Biden and anonymously, and mentions, but they publicly said otherwise. So I do wonder if
some of them now are saying things like, well, in our meetings, I didn't see any mental decline. I'm like, well, you didn't have to be in the meeting with him. Like, I was never in a meeting with Joe Biden, and I can tell you he had cognitive decline. I wasn't in a meeting with him. I watched his debate, and I'm like, this guy's not all there.
But from the podium, you yelled at us and told us we were stupid.
Yeah.
So how do we come back? Are Democrats who allied their brands with Biden, say someone like Mayor Pete, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, how much is he tarnished by being part of the Biden label?
I hear what you're saying. I think that given the way that Pete and other secretaries have operated, like many of the cabinet secretaries even were not part of the Biden inner circle. That was a very rare and small clique that worked together. So I think that they can say, like, yes, we were there, yes, we were in meetings, but they held, according to reporting, like they held very few actual cabinet meetings. Those were very scripted. So if they were just getting out there and doing their job, I get that. Returning to an earlier point really quickly about who is been actually honest and are these new young people honest, I think that's part of why the backlash to David Hogg over the DNC, over we're going to primary people, we're going to get younger blood in.
But they're not even being honest about that.
Right, I feel like part of the backlash to that is the idea like, oh, but just being young is not what people are asking for. Like,
no.
That's step one.
And he didn't even win most of the votes.
Yeah.
Representative Kenyatta did. We're not even being honest about that.
Yeah, so here we go. So I think that the Democrats have a lot to work towards in terms of putting back together.
That's one way of saying it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I got to interrupt you for a second because we got to squeeze in a quick break.